These Santa Cruz Island foxes are off the charts on the cute scale, and the high school students studying them are gaining lifelong lessons.
I believe that working with the environment helps you care for something that's greater than yourself. It kind of broadens your horizon and gives you like more of like an open mind to different things.
We're called the Saudi Arabia of geothermal energy in the United States.
An Oregon community reinvents itself as sustainable energy takes center stage.
It's been a very rapid loss of species over the last several decades, and it seems to be increasing.
Saving the gopher frog, one gelatinous glob of eggs at a time. All this and more, now on This American Land. Funding for This American Land provided by the Weiss Foundation and the Turner Foundation.
Hello and welcome to This American Land. I'm Bruce Burkhardt. On this and every show, we'll take you to some of the most beautiful places you may never have heard of.
And I'm Caroline Raville here on stunning Santa Cruz Island off the coast of Southern California. This island is often called the Galapagos of North America because of all of the diverse wildlife contained in such a small area. From the vibrant scrub jay to the spotted skunk to the absolutely adorable island fox, it's easy to see why this is the perfect place for students to come and learn about careers in the environmental sciences. These high school students are on a scientific quest on California's captivating Santa Cruz Island. But their journey didn't start here. Within earshot of LA's 405 freeway, there's an educational oasis.
It's all about getting kids to care. And when they realize that there's a local community issue that they can get engaged in, they become inspired. When they become inspired to take action and then they see that the adults in their lives are listening to them, they start to care about their coursework.
Isn't that awesome?
Founder Allison Diaz says students at the Environmental Charter High School interact with nature every day.
We have a little bit of onion. We have some, I believe these are sunflowers and jalapenos. We have the chard. And this chard right here, what I like to do is sometimes like take like a little stalk. And then I'm gonna show you guys our little chickens that we have here on campus.
With its stream, solar greenhouse, and bus stop made of recycled materials, this school is part of the Nature Conservancy's LEAF program. Leaders in Environmental Action for the Future is now in its 18th year. Kiara Adams is one of 7 girls chosen for a month-long paid internship on Santa Cruz Island. It's a bold, exciting step these students know could have a big impact on their future.
Honestly, I was so speechless. I just started screaming. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in.
I'm excited to see stars at night because in cities we can't really see stars at night, and I'm excited to see the fox in Santa Cruz.
Being on this island away from technology and maybe like the normal social life, I'm gonna be able to figure out what's my strengths and weaknesses and how I can use that to my benefit later on.
For most, it's a month full of first times. The first time being away from home, the first time being out in nature, and the first time earning a paycheck. This summer's island project is part of a recent expansion for students in the West.
It's an absolutely gorgeous place. It's a unique island. It is the most biodiverse island in the Channel Islands chain.
The Nature Conservancy owns 76% of this island. The rest is run by the National Park Service. We hike up a trail to get a good view and spot the interns working in the wetlands below. But suddenly, the star of this island ecosystem is ready for his close-up. We're gonna talk very quietly, but right over here is a fox. I'm so excited.
Santa Cruz Island fox.
And this is a completely unique species of fox, is that correct?
This fox only occurs out here on Santa Cruz Island. What you're seeing right now is him or her, eating on one of their favorite diets, which is manzanita bush. and he's eating manzanita berries.
It's amazing to see how agile they are, that he can, or she, can kind of navigate this little bush here.
They are in the canine family, but to me, they almost are cat-like, how they can climb and how they navigate through the bushes. This is a great example of why this island is so important to maintain. This little fox here, not too long ago, less than 10% remained of the total population. So this is a great success story. We're very excited about how they've come back nearly from the brink of extinction.
We're measuring the stream discharge, how much water is actually flowing by here.
The teens are working with aquatic ecologist Larry Serpa and counting some of the 600 plant species here. Birds, like the island scrub jay, and mammals, like our friendly fox and this equally adorable skunk.
So down here at the creek, my team and I, we're here doing stream monitoring.
How's something like this going to help you with your future then?
I believe that working with the environment helps you care for something that's greater than yourself, not just like, oh, I need to go to the mall. It kind of broadens your horizon and gives you like more of like an open mind to different things.
Say bye-bye, everybody. Yeah, she doesn't want to go. Bye, Lily. Bye, Lily. Say bye-bye, everybody.
So first, in the morning, we did wetland sampling, and that's where we scraped the bottom of the pond to see like what animals there are, because
like pond muck?
Yeah, and a lot of algae.
So far, what's the coolest thing you've done since you've been out here?
What I thought was really cool was going to the sea caves. I've never been in a cave, and on the sea, that's even like better. So we went there.
How'd you get there?
We just went on a boat.
Do you have any ideas about what you'd like to study yet, or are you still kind of thinking about it?
You know, coming here, I wanted to be an environmental engineer, but then after like we've gone to the ocean, we've seen like so many things, I've kind of switched to marine biology.
Many of these students will be the first in their families to go to college.
Since 1995, we've seen over 30% of our young leaders go on to pursue environmentally related careers, which is about 6 times higher than the national average. So that's a source of great pride for us. They're also able to apply the lessons that they're learning around environmental issues in all different kinds of career paths, whether that's business, industry, or things like teaching.
They have gotten used to some bumpy rides and acrobatic maneuvers to get to field sites.
You get really nice views. You'll be in the middle of like surrounded by all the mountains, and then you still see the blue ocean right there in between. It looks so pretty.
They are also learning teamwork.
I see like someone else getting really tired. Someone's like, "Hey, are you okay?" We're always helping each other basically, and it feels like we're kind of close in a way. But it's just like we always have each other's backs.
In the evening, there's a little kicking back, a few memories from home, even some college prep work ahead for their senior year.
We just go back to cabins, everyone's tired. Like we kind of feel like adults.
I brought him from like home because I get scared to sleep at night sometimes. So I always bring stuffed animals when I go travel. So I feel like something is with me.
I'm kind of sleep deprived. Yeah, I think we all are. Yeah. We're all pretty tired, and right after work, you're just like, man, I just want to take a nap. I just want to go to sleep. But you're like, wait, I have homework. I gotta stay up later.
Toyota USA Foundation has contributed more than $3 million to the LEAF program, now in 8 cities. Patricia Pineda says graduates gain insight about the environment and about themselves.
I've seen a lot of young people with tears in their eyes because all of a sudden they really believe in themselves and what they can do. And working alongside the scientists, there is sort of this epiphany that, hey, I can do this too.
Every day we wake up and we go on a truck and there's like...
These Los Angeles participants are already anxious to share their island memories and future plans with their families.
I saw the fox. That's the first thing I would tell them. I was excited for that. And then I'd like to work with animals, so like a vet or something.
And whether or not they pursue careers in science, the lessons they've learned here should impact whatever their career choice and their everyday activities, with LEAF's goal to protect our lands and waters and to teach others to do the same.
Gopher frogs used to be plentiful in the southeastern United States, but right now their population is alarmingly low. More than 400 amphibians across the globe are listed as critically endangered due to habitat loss and disease. Sharon Collins of Georgia Public Broadcasting shows us how scientists are going to great lengths in a fight to save the frog.
Biologist John Jensen and amphibian specialist Robert Hill are on a mission to save a frog. Not just any frog, a gopher frog. So one bright, chilly morning, we all walked to a pond several hours south of Atlanta near the Alabama line. To save this frog, they need its eggs.
Big adult females lay almost grapefruit-size glob.
John has located the first egg mass. It's like holding a handful of Jell-O. It even moves like Jell-O.
Can I feel it?
Sure.
I'm not going to hurt it, Emma.
No, we're going to take some of it anyway.
Oh, wow, yeah.
The little black dots that look like commas will someday be frog. Most tadpoles never make it to adulthood. This search for eggs is part of a joint project to make sure they do.
Oh, here's a fresh one. Yes.
More eggs go into the bucket and get prepped for the long ride back to Atlanta. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, 1/3 of the world's 6,000 amphibian species face extinction. 122 amphibian species have gone extinct in the last 25 years. There are other reasons to be concerned about something like the gopher frog. That frog is connected to an entire habitat that has declined. The longleaf pines, gopher tortoises, indigo snakes, red cockaded woodpeckers. They all need the same kind of landscape, so researchers are trying to save all these things. At the Atlanta Botanical Gardens, the eggs will hatch out and the tadpoles will develop for about 4 to 6 months until they're old enough to release. As I learned on another trip with John Jensen, frog disease is not something exotic that only occurs in other countries. It is a serious problem worldwide, and scientists aren't completely sure how it began or how to stop it.
We have no way of curing this right now. The chytrid fungus, you can cure infected frogs in the lab and keep them from developing it again, but there's no way to really treat the environment.
There are other diseases. For example, this pond was full of tadpoles. They covered the surface, but a virus wiped them out in a matter of days.
So what are we looking for, John?
We're looking for wood frog tadpoles. This pond should be just loaded with tadpoles. They should have hatched out. They have hatched out by now. There should be clouds of tadpoles all over here, and there's none. This is documented as ranavirus, a disease that affects several southeastern species.
The amphibian crisis is not something where it's been a gradual thing that we've become aware of. It's been a very rapid loss of species over the last, several decades, and it seems to be increasing.
We've waited weeks while in the tanks, our gopher frog eggs have developed, and they're about to take a long trip to a pond owned and protected by the Nature Conservancy.
Come here, little buddy. So why is it a good idea to do this at night?
Because it's 100% humidity at night, it's the best time for them to disperse into the uplands. There's a lot more cover for them, so they can kind of get acclimated to the site without having to be too obvious to predators here.
In all, we released more than 400 baby frogs.
It's unfortunate that we're getting to this kind of desperation where to maintain this species, we have to reintroduce them rather than just manage and maintain known populations. We're just down to just a few left in the state, so.
Is it really that dire?
I believe so, yeah. We've really only got 4 or 5 natural populations in the wild right now of Georgia, and some of those populations have been reduced to just a few adults.
Months after that first release, I return with John Jensen to free the last frogs. Since we first started, it looks like a different landscape. The pond has dried significantly from lack of rain.
So how many frogs altogether?
I don't know the exact count, but it's around 1,300.
This is your new home, buddy. Come on. Look at all this nice grass. Lots of muck. There you go. Come on. There you go. It's pretty cool.
It's heading the right direction for the now. I have great optimism for it to be a successful project, but it's going to take a couple years before we really know. But if we come back in a few years and there's gopher frog egg masses all out in this pond, I'll have a big smile on my face.
To the average person, a gopher frog may not be that interesting. It's this kind of big gray lump, big fat frog that eats other frogs and lives in a tortoise hole. But it's part of the bigger ecosystem. And the way I look at it is, this is a species that we have directly affected. We have destroyed its habitat, and I think we owe it a debt.
What if there was a clean, renewable source of energy within easy reach? Well, some parts of the country are lucky enough to be able to tap into geothermal power. But Lake County, Oregon is doing that and much more, finding creative ways to develop everything from solar power to straw houses. Marsha Walton introduces us to some natural resources pioneers.
Lakeview, Oregon is about 100 miles from the nearest stoplight, but it is light years ahead of most of the country in developing renewable energy and preparing for climate change.
We're called the Saudi Arabia of geothermal energy in the United States.
Mechanical engineer Bob Rogers says geothermal energy is one cure for high energy costs at the local hospital. It's clean, cheap, and sustainable.
The geothermal hot water comes right down through those pipes at over 200 degrees, and then it enters that hot water heat exchanger to provide all the heating that's required for this hospital.
We went through all of our buildings and retrofitted them to accept geothermally heated water.
Lake County School Superintendent Sean Gallagher is realizing a long-term lesson in savings with a move from diesel to geothermal to heat school buildings.
And that in itself is going to save at least $100,000 a year. I would much rather put teachers in the classroom, textbooks in their hands, computers in computer labs, provide programs for kids, than watch dollars just go up the smokestack and into the air.
In a few months, sitting on the ground just behind me will be Oregon's largest solar project.
The county's electric provider, Pacific Power, is also part of the natural resources revolution.
This community has really been taking great steps towards renewable energy development, reducing their carbon footprint.
We can produce all kinds of renewable energy, and we like to say Lake County is the new energy frontier. So that's a unique marketing tool.
Jim Walls runs the Lake County Resources Initiative. The group drives this ambitious effort to use the region's bountiful natural assets for energy, jobs, even to attract new residents. But this quest for a green economy started in a very divided place. In the 1990s, major changes in forestry practices shut down most timber production, the backbone of the economy for generations. With few options for new industry in this remote landscape, residents and environmental groups were pitted against each other.
We had been in a situation like so many rural communities with mills closing down, people angry.
Rancher and former county commissioner Jane O'Keefe helped cooler heads prevail.
One of the things that became real clear is we just couldn't have enemies. It couldn't be the government, it couldn't be the timber companies, it couldn't be the environmentalists.
Turns out, working together worked.
There is a tremendous amount of charisma, of energy, of character and grit in the people of this place.
Sustainable Northwest was one environmental group joining the search for a new economic engine. And this newfound focus on natural resources has come with a bonus: far-sighted preparation for climate change.
We like to think of rural communities as the first responders when it comes to the impacts of climate change. The decisions that they make with regards to landscape management, with renewable energy development, with regards to environmental, economic, and social development ultimately have repercussions that reverberate beyond just their communities.
Environmental stewardship is really a state of mind, and it depends on how you view long-term sustainability and economic returns.
One timber business has survived for decades. The Collins Lumber Company made conservation a priority. That thinking now includes preparation for a changing climate.
We need a healthy, resilient stand that can deal with climate change. We've opened them up so there are fewer trees competing for the same amount of moisture, which should help keep them healthier and able to stave off changes in moisture regimes. In the long run, we think good sustainability is good economics.
The use of natural resources here is a vibrant process, not just guided by government, but creatively designed by individuals in their ranches, businesses, and homes.
This is called a truth window, and it's a tradition in straw bale houses. And here are the bales.
Christine and Cam Newton built an energy-efficient straw home.
It's totally recycled waste product from cereal production.
It is an amazing community, a shared passion for the environment, the forest, our surroundings, renewables, and it's just a hotbed of activists here.
I've always liked the idea of like hot springs before I even thought of the energy aspect of it.
Jim Gullickson uses this naturally heated water for his lodge, restaurant, and the veggies in his greenhouse.
Are they worthless for protection?
Like most folks in this remote part of Oregon, Mark Douglas wears several hats. He ranches goats and cattle, he's the mayor of Paisley, and he's working to build a geothermal plant for power and heat.
It's all a local project. It's a local small electric co-op developing it off of private land here. It's a very exciting time to be transitioning from an industry that's been on the decline, the timber industry, into an industry that's really in its initial stages and growing and utilizing the resources that we have here.
About 8 people a month stay in the cabins here.
Just down the road from Paisley, Bill Roach runs Playa, a lush, secluded retreat for artists and scientists. With nearly 300 days of sunlight a year, the sun provides power and inspiration.
It's a bit of a responsibility for people that have resources to use those resources in a way that pushes the kind of exploration into different modes of solving some of the problems that we have as a country and a culture. And one of those ways is through renewable energy exploration.
We have forest, we have rangeland, we have grasslands, we have riparian zones, we have wildlife.
It was easy for Keith Barnhart to decide to go off the grid. The power company said it would take $120,000 to bring electricity out here. Now he has a tracking solar array and a small wind turbine for a little extra kick for his cattle and guest ranch.
We have a tracker here which follows the sun across the sky. Now, so that gives us 25% more electricity and more efficiency than it would be for a solid one.
From solar cells to jail cells, even the prison here is heated by renewable energy. The goal is for the county to become carbon neutral. They expect that to happen within a year or two, but also to help others reach that milestone.
Even though our emphasis is on Lake County and changing Lake County, but we also need to share with others, because I think it's an opportunity for many, many rural areas but haven't seen good times for a long time.
The federal government can supply resources to communities to help deal with a tough economy and a changing climate. Deputy Secretary David Hayes says climate adaptation is a priority at the Department of Interior.
Part of our challenge is to get a clean energy economy and reduce the emissions of carbon into the atmosphere that are impacting climate change. We've had a revolutionary effect in the last 3 years of bringing renewable energy to our public lands. Utility-scale solar projects, wind projects. So at the same time that we're dealing with the question of negative impacts on our landscapes from climate change, we're also trying to use our public lands to develop a clean energy economy that will mitigate the climate change impacts of the future.
Now a quick look at a story we're working on for a future show. In New England, purple marsh crabs are out of control, and they're putting other native plants and animals in a real pinch.
Thanks for joining us for This American Land, and you can always catch us on our website, thisamericanland.org. For Bruce Burkhart and all of our crew, we'll see you next time.
For more information about this program, visit thisamericanland.org. Funding for This American Land provided by the Weiss Foundation and the Turner Foundation.